And this is Dragonus4 coming at you with another episode of my excursions into the unknown. And today I'm going to be telling you about the yard daemon. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with daemons are, daemon it's sometimes pronounced demons, but they're different than demons. Daemons are more animal spirits, sort of like a totem animal, but they're more have more of a human spirit to them, but they take on the form of an animal. Um, okay, now this experience happened a few years back, not too long ago. It was about maybe 3 years ago, something like that. Um, and what now? It was in the summertime, and my yard was full of plants, and we get some really large leaf plants in our yard. Because I don't really bother to weed out stuff like daylilies and stuff because I actually like the daylilies and those kind of plants. So they get a lot of those long leaf plants out in the yard there. It was in the middle of the night. Was fairly dark out, but there was enough moonlight that you could see out into the yard. I happened to look out into the yard from my kitchen window, and I could see like the plants were moving, and it was fairly overgrown at the time. So it was like the plants were pretty much touching each other, forming like a canopy in the yard, as it were. And you could see the plants were moving, and they were like moving fairly vigorously, like something was walking through it. And I was wondering what it was. So I just kind of watched to see I thought maybe there was a raccoon or a possum in my yard. And so I was watching it, and then the moving stopped, like when it got to the edge of the concrete, and I couldn't see anything coming out from the plants. So I kept watching it, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing the fence, the chain link fence between our property and the next door neighbor's property rattling, and all of a sudden this creature became visible. So apparently it was invisible while I was walking through up to that point, and it became visible, and it looked like a lemur. It had a really gorgeous lemur looking fur, where it was like whitish on the and reddish combination with deep red, and like a luscious white fur, real thick, had a real long thick tail. The head was more humanoid than lemur like, and the head looked like if you took a human sized head and covered it with fur and had had like lemur pointed ears, and then have really, really long whiskers. I mean, the whiskers were probably a good foot in length. Now, the other weird thing about it is it had human hands. It had human hands going forward on the front paws, and it had humanoid-looking hands going back, facing backward on the front paw, on the back paw. So like a double set of human hands. And it climbed up the chain link fence using its hands, and again, it's weird because the two hands were human looking hands facing forward, and then there's two facing back. So apparently it could run in either direction on these, or climb with it. And it got to the top of the fence, and it started going over to the bottom of the fence, was starting to climb downward with its head facing downward like that. When it got near the bottom of the chain link fence, it jumped off, and then it became invisible again. And interesting thing, little side note about this, there was on Ellen DeGeneres show, on one of the episodes, she was describing what Portia de Rossi, her wife, happened to see coming through their yard to a police sketch artist, because they were wondering what this animal was. And it sounds from the description that they were giving, it sounds like it was the same kind of a species of daemon animal that I saw. So that's just a little interesting side note there. Well, anyways, that's this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it.